At what point, then, is the approach of danger to be expected? I answer, if it ever reach us, it must spring up amongst us. It cannot come from abroad. If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher. As a nation of free men, we must live through all time or die by suicide. Abraham Lincoln. Welcome. Good morning. Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. How are you all today? I hope you're well. Grab a cup of something because we have something serious to discuss. I'm drinking Brutal Awakening from Blackout Coffee, sent to be by my buddy Mark Harrison down in Tennessee. Thank you. I'm loving this, Mark. What's coming? I want to talk about the fact that I don't believe most people have any idea what's headed our way. And when you don't have any idea what's headed our way, well, you're in a spot, aren't you? You are up a creek without that proverbial paddle, and it's important as preparedness-minded people, or even if you're just a prepper, to have an idea, an honest idea of really what is coming. I always get stumbled on his name. Thucydides. It doesn't roll off the tongue. He's a Greek philosopher, lived back BC sometime. I don't remember when. As you can imagine, it's been a while since I've talked about Thucydides. And he had something to say about that also. He says, the bravest are surely those who have the clearest vision of what is before them, glory and danger alike, and yet, notwithstanding, go out to meet it. The important part of that is not the glory and bravery and courage and all that. Have the clearest vision is what before them. Okay, how do you get that? How do you know? What is the clearest vision? I just got done watching a couple of videos of guys sitting in their trucks out in the woods telling you how horrible things are, talking about economics, most of which they have all wrong, but are clearly spreading information to a lot of people that isn't right. Okay, I don't know why. Probably they just don't realize it. But the message that is going out to so much in the preparedness world is so wrong in many cases. And then I stumbled upon another video to where somebody was telling us to prepare for depression, and they came on just all breathless and everything. It was coming. It's about to hit you, and you better be ready. I'm doing my best. You better get... And I thought that it was something they had put out within the last few days, because it's exactly like they are putting out the last few days. And I looked at it. It was 3 years ago. Hasn't changed. The same misinformation. Now, if you are involved in preparedness, or if you think about yourself as a prepper, or better yet, a PMP, a preparedness-minded person, it's important, and you realize that it's important to have the right information, because if you don't have the right information, you're going to base your decisions on wrong information, which means you're going to make the wrong decisions, right? It's pretty simple. I mean, right? We get that. When you are trying to, I don't care, do a math problem in the 5th grade, you have to have the right information there. You're right, in order to arrive at the correct answer of 13, you have to have in the equation 7 plus 6, right? Well, I know math done on video, that's dangerous stuff, isn't it? You have to have the correct information to put in order to get the right answer, okay? If you're building a shed, a house, a fence, or whatever, and you're making your measurements, you have to have the correct measurements in order to get the result you want. It's the same with everything else. And it's the same with preparedness. And whether you're talking about being prepared economically or physically or whatever, okay, or whatever, You have to input the right information. You know, this is the danger of that a lot of people are afraid of computers or afraid of AI and everything like that. And you know, my computer genius friends tell me it's just a matter of what your input is. If you put in the right input, the correct input, you're going to get the correct answer. The danger is in the input. And when you input wrong information, misinformation, you're going to arrive at a false conclusion. And that is a danger. And when it comes to the world and when it comes to preparedness, you don't want to arrive at a false conclusion because your life, the lives of those who depend on you, your future depends on correct conclusions coming from right input, Okay. You know, and that's what we get back to these sayings. Well, when Lincoln, who I'm no fan of, I'm not the fan of Lincoln that many people are. I write these down in my Stone Mountain notebook. You know, I tell you every day about the Stone Mountain notebook. We throw it in free when you buy the set of Stone Mountain books from us directly. I use mine all the time, right? See, this is probably my sixth Stone Mountain notebook, and I keep them all with notes and ideas and things like that. And he says, I'll say it again. If at what point then is the approach of danger to be expected? I answer, if it ever reach us, it must spring up amongst us. It cannot come from abroad. It's destruction. If destruction is our lot, we ourselves must be its author and finisher. Okay, it comes up from within us. The danger, guys, is not from out there. The danger comes from having a misidentification of what's really out there. And the danger is that some from within preparedness itself, are putting out information that misleads many. Now, what's going on in the world? Is the world dangerous? Is the world fragile? Is the world horrible and evil and all? Yes, it is. It's all of those things. The thing to understand that it's not new. There is nothing new under the sun. The Bible tells you that. And yet, if you listen to this drivel, you are going to be made to believe that the world is more evil than it ever has been before. Answer to that, it's not. And I will refer back. I write about Nero's torches in my books. You familiar with Nero's torches? Nero, the Roman emperor, used to have big garden parties, and he would catch Christians, and he would dip them in pitch and light them up. And as they burned to death, and then as their charred corpses continued to burn, it provided the light for his garden parties. There was more evil than that going on then, and always has been. We know of the days of Noah. The entire earth was evil. This is not new. And to allow yourselves to be shaken over this, oh my gosh, it's more evil, it's worse than it's ever been before, freezes too many people. And I see it. I see it in comments on this channel. Not so much as I do on other channels, but I see so much of it on other channels. And it's just it's a circular argument. The more people that say it's the end of the world, it's the end times, it's more evil than it ever has been before, the more people say it, the more people read it, the more people believe it, and then more people adopt that. You know what happens as a result of that? It keeps you, if you fall prey to that, it keeps you from preparing for what's really coming. So what is really coming, Uncle Steve? Well, let me take a sip of my Brutal Awakening after one of it might be our most popular mug. Shot placement is everything. And you know what? This you can get this on our website too. This applies to what we're talking about now. Shot placement is everything. What means having the right aim, right? Hitting your target as a result of the right input is everything. Let me get back to that. If you're basing your decisions on wrong information, you're going to be scattered all over the place. It's like at the range. If you don't know what you're doing, you don't have your sights right, you're just pulling, praying and spraying. Your target is going to be embarrassing, right? If you do that in life, your life is a failure. And yet there are a lot out there because they've made the wrong decisions. So what is coming? Well, probably what is coming, and I've said this over and over and over again, probably what is coming is a continuation of an increasingly complex technological world. I know. You want to talk about something scary? Most preppers don't want to think about that. Now, PMPs do, because they know that of the two choices of what's coming our way, that's one of them. The other is like what happens in my books, and it's the only thing that can probably save us from that. Did I get them all here? No, I missed one. And that is a complete collapse of everything. I wrote a bunch of books about that. I'll tell you how to get them in a minute. If you haven't read them, I suggest you do. It'll be the best thing you'll do next in your preparedness journey. But there's two choices, essentially, guys. Either everything falls apart, which is a prepper fantasy, right? And it very much could. I mean, we are told by scientists it's going to happen at some point. And I explain that in the books. And I also explain in the book, should I tell you now? No, I'll tell you in a minute. I tell you how to deal with it. That's one. And that's what a lot of people, I think, hope will happen. And I won't say that I don't share some of that. I am one of those who feels I was born too late. I should have been born in the 1800s, 1700s or something. It's just my personality. I had a friend of mine who told me he went on to be a CIA guy. And we were sitting around in my apartment when we were younger, and he said, everybody says that you're a throwback. And I've never really fit into any group. I mean, I get along, but, I've never been like, if you looked at a group, you saw that I stood out. And I don't mean that in necessarily a good way. Many times it wasn't a good way. I was the one that didn't fit in. And he says, because of my personality. And because I didn't go along. I wasn't a go-alonger, And he said, everybody says you're a throwback. And I said, what do you mean? He says, like you're like one of the old West guys, you're like one of the old gunfighters. And, the rest of us are, well, he was, like I said, he went on to the agency, big deal in electronics, NSA shit. Excuse me. Who knows what he's doing now? I don't think I want to know. Well, he's probably retired. But that's one of the, everything falling apart is one of the possibilities. The other possibility is what I just said. We are continued to go down the road of increasingly complex technology. And people who really want to be prepared for the future also prepare for that. They prepare for the first, but they also prepare for the second. That's real preparedness. Because real preparedness isn't preparing for one particular thing or a few particular things, or just the things that you hope will happen or would prefer happen over other things. Until the collapse, this is what's going to happen. This is the future you are assured until the big collapse. Things getting more complex, right? And yet a lot of people won't admit that. And so that's why I say most people have no idea what's coming. Now, many of the preparedness literature, many of the preparedness channels dedicate themselves to scaring you about these things coming. Big Brother, New World Order, WEF, WHO, One World Government, blah, blah, blah. Many of them tie it into religious eschatology. Okay. Eschatology is simply a study of the end times. Okay. Uh, and they say, you know what's coming. This is what's coming. That's a very simplistic application of an opinion. It could be a part of it. It also could not be. And if you're truly into preparedness, you have to understand that. You see, it's like the people that say, "I don't prepare because I know." I just had a comment like this on the was it yesterday's? Might have been yesterday's, or maybe the day before video that said, "I don't prepare because I am sure that Jesus is coming." Um, I don't know if they said this week or soon or whatever. Well, I look forward as much as anybody for that day, but I also know that He told us that we're not going to know. We're not going to be able to see. We don't know. And people who latch on to that and bet everything on that are also let me give up a word of warning to you people who and I say you should understand the Bible, but you should understand all of it, not just those little parts that somebody has told you that verify or that seem to verify what they want you to believe. You need to see it all. And I always remind them, Jesus told his disciples the night he was arrested, he said, when I've been with you, did you want for anything? They said, no, Lord, we didn't want for anything. He said, well, now I'm not going to be with you. And he who has a purse, traveling bag, let him take it with him. And your scrip, your money. For those out there who say, oh, I don't need money, God will take it. And your money. And he who does not have a sword, let him sell his cloak, a very valuable piece of his clothing, and buy one. That tells you you are responsible for taking care of yourself while he's not physically with us. He expects that of you. So I don't want to hear, and I'll tell you, I'm getting real tired of the theological virtue signaling that I see on channels, and especially when you show it on mine, because it's just all you need is Jesus. Well, yes, for your eternal life, that is all you need. It is not all you need here, and Jesus himself told you that. So knock off that, like I say, that theological virtue signaling that you're so good because all you need is Jesus. Okay, Jesus said you need more. Okay, while you're here, it's your responsibility. Okay, you're not Hebrews wandering in the wilderness and waiting for the manna. You have an obligation. Okay, enough of that. I just get tired of that, guys. Stop coming on and putting on a whole bunch of Bible verses that many of you obviously don't understand, and it is misleading to other people. That's another problem. That's what we're talking about here. Too much information being put out there. I have no problem with you wanting to share your faith, your beliefs. That's great. I love it. I do it myself here, as if you've been with me before, you see that I do. But don't mislead people. And if you don't know what you're talking about, and that's the problem, people who don't know what they're talking about don't realize they don't know what they're talking about. Just like the people that want to, sit out there in the woods and tell you all about economics, whatever. But that's the danger. So what's coming? Are you willing to accept that the world is becoming more complex, and that in order to prepare yourself to deal with it, whether it's to fight it or whatever, you have to learn more about it. That's why I've said with AI, don't hide from it, learn about it. So that why? So that you can protect yourself from it, or so maybe you can use it in order to protect or to provide for yourself, whatever. I know that there's some out there that's going to tell you it's the mark of the beast. There have always been people who have told you that. For 2,000 years, people have been telling you that. And I'm not trying to tell you that there is not a mark of the beast. But the thing is, nobody will take it accidentally. It is a conscious decision. The Bible tells you that. A conscious decision that you make a particular decision. Okay? I know. A little bit of truth. But it's one that far too people refuse to accept. So, What is coming? The world is going to continue to be evil, as it always has been. It's going to continue to grow in complexity, as it always has. And it's up to you to prepare yourself to deal with it. Doesn't that make sense? Doesn't that make perfect sense? When they came out with the horseless carriage, right? It was the mark of the devil to many. These things will never go. I laugh at people as I ride by them, broke down at the side of the road as I ride by on my horse. That'll never catch on. Kind of like what a lot of people say about EVs right now, right? Oh, those things will never, technology continues. Are you prepared for it? Or are you going to hide from it? Now, if you're already set, good. You're good. And there's some out there who are living the way you want to. I have to admit, and I will admit right now, I don't particularly want my life to become more technologically complex. I don't know how to turn on my own TV. Yes, I do now. I have learned in the last 2 months how to turn on my own TV. They showed, Dad, here's the power button. Oh, okay. Now, how do I get to Netflix? Well, push the button on there that says Netflix. Well, how do I get to, whatever. I know how to use the phone. Let me say this, though, and I'm not quite that bad. I'm kind of poking fun at myself. But if you don't have an understanding of the truth of what's happening in this world, you're going to be misled and allow yourself to be misled by people who either don't know what they're talking about or are purposely misleading you. And neither one of those is a recipe for success or for being prepared for what's coming. So, it's up to you to make that decision. Are you going to keep swallowing the BS? I know it tastes good, but it's sour in your stomach, right? Or are you going to break free of that and say, as Thucydides said, let me back up because I don't have this quote memorized. Thucydides. I should have practiced saying that before. I bet I haven't said that in 20 years. The bravest are surely those who have the clearest vision of what is before them. Not blinders, but the clearest vision of what is before them. Glory and danger alike. And yet, notwithstanding, go out to meet it. Not to hide from it, not to run from it, to meet it, to deal with it. Like I tell people, you either do life or it's going to do you. Preppers, as a group, have a tendency to think of themselves as people who are in control. To some extent they are. But when you choose not to engage a danger or a threat or a coming threat, and you don't prepare yourself by learning about it, and so that you know how to deal with it, you're not prepared. You're not dealing with it. You're hiding from it. Okay? Was this a little too harsh? I didn't mean it to be, but I tell you what, I just get, I have it up to here with all this negativity that I hear out there. The world is evil. Buy gold. Guys, you gotta step up your game. You got to up your game from that a little bit. Okay? You have to have some discernment. And don't rely on anybody, including me, to just provide all the raw material for your decisions. You need to learn about it. You need to be in control of your knowledge, of the information you possess. Make sure it's information, not misinformation or disinformation, okay? Now, if you want to know how to prepare for everything collapsing, well, I have a great way for you to do it. and that is to read this series, the Stonemont series. Why do you say that, Steve? Because I wrote them. I wrote the first one. The Reversion came out in 2017, and after that, a bunch more. It just kept coming and coming and coming. The Reversion, the Revival, the Renewal, and Appeal to Heaven, the Blessings of Freedom, Hostages to Fortune, and the latest one, On Wings Like Eagles. And I think I'm missing one of them. Oh, yeah, I'm missing Hostages to Fortune. That doesn't matter. It's someplace else. It's the complete, I say it's the complete guide, the complete plan for preparing for, surviving, and rebuilding after a total collapse of everything. I talk, and it's the story of a family, a prepared family, who, as a result of their preparedness, was able not just to continue living a good life after the complete collapse of everything, but help other people as well, and then rebuild community. And throughout the whole thing, I talk about, our foundational principles. I talk a lot about history. I talk about justice, comparative justice. I talk about how community and how society should be arranged. I talk about so many things. So, politics, everything in a way that you're going to love. And I love it when people write me and they say, I learned so much that I didn't know. Could have been about the Civil War, could have been about other parts of history, could have been about our Constitution. I had a lawyer friend of mine tell me after reading one of my books, he said, you probably know more about constitutional law than I do. Well, I don't say that to brag, but I do address that in there, why so many decisions that you see or so many what people talk about. Don't worry, I don't get all dry and talk about the Constitution. I refer to certain things that Judge Scalia has said and how he was wrong. Yes, he was wrong. And I explain it in a way that is going to be enjoyable for you to read. Plus, you will learn so much in here. You will learn so much you never even thought about, but you won't realize you're learning because you'll be so caught up in the story and the characters and all that. And you know what I do all through it? I talk about, after a collapse of everything, how we start to, because we may have lost technology, but not the knowledge, how we bring back technology step by step by step. And it's simply, that's kind of a reflection of what we're going through now. If they were afraid of technology, they never would have progressed. If we are afraid of technology, we won't progress. And technology is not necessarily a digression. Any of you who have needed modern medicine, for you or a loved one, life-saving, whatever, tell me that you don't like modern technology. But there are dangers in it. It's important to understand the difference. So here, how do you get these? You can get them on Amazon. The link's down below. And on Amazon, you can get them either paperback or Kindle or Audible. Or you can get them a much better way, and that is directly from me through our website, stonemont.us. That link is also down below. And when you get them from me, I sign each book for you, and I write a little note in there to you. And we're also able, if you buy them as a set, which most people do actually, we give a discount to you because when we ship them out as a set, we save money on postage and handling and all that kind of stuff. We pass that saving on to you. Plus, we stick in for no charge a Stonemont notebook for you. And I think you'll like, I use mine, like I said, all the time. And there's a couple important reminders on the Stonemont notebook for you. And that is, and as you can see, well, what is it, Steve? It's just there's nothing in it. There's a line for you to keep your notes and lists and preparedness plans and whatever. On the front, it tells you something important that you need to keep in mind. Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. What that meant, that's Proverbs 16:3, one of my favorites. What that means is, because that's King James, a lot of people don't understand. There's a lot in King James that people just don't understand, right? Because we don't live in King James time in England. What that means is commit your work to the Lord and your plans will succeed. And I will say something else there. Well, I'll leave that alone because that stands alone. Commit your works unto the Lord and your plans will succeed. That doesn't mean you just come up with a plan and say, Lord, I want a mansion and I'm going to commit it to you. No, what it means is you ask the good Lord, what do you want me to do? And then you do what he tells you to do. And then your plans will succeed because you commit them to him, okay? On the back, another one of my favorites, Psalm 127, verse 1. Except the Lord build a house, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman waketh, but in vain. Pretty self-explanatory. It tells you, if God's not in your plans, guys, they're not going to work out as well as they could have and should have. All right? So, what's coming? You need the correct information to know what's coming. I gave you a glimpse into what's coming. You be responsible for your own knowledge. It's out there. Find out. Understand the world. Understand economics. Understand what's going on. Understand what's going on with the current tariffs. You can understand it. You're a smart person. You don't need somebody, telling you, whether to be afraid or not. And I'll tell you right now, don't be afraid. Never be afraid. For we have not been given a spirit of fear, right? Okay. And then prepare for it. Know what's coming, and then prepare for it. Okay? All right. Hey, remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And remember that shot placement is everything, which means in this context, you have to aim right. And you do that by having the right information, arriving at the correct decisions, right? And correct answers guiding your decisions. You can get this one on our stonemont.us website too. You all have a great day. Get out there, inform yourself, get ready, make good decisions, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.